Gawe gedang, gawe keramdit, ramdit. Baju kula lalat. Iku yugu waje lar kam gidu. Alright, when Don mi jalu kya jang gua ke kelo. Ko wa bro long kam gidu. Ko right wajen. Nyamarian chwela dor wadu lar kori lar gap. Alright, wajen. Karan kuna chago pa ram do ram chiu nga moye tani. Twara kun with guy. Uchwete moye teng boro. Mi che dwal kweje. Ni gwith kweje. Miyo bang'eny kweje. Miyo che dwal kweje. Toto the midil ngai tin ngai udhin dial. Lam twara mindi ni jo pobut. Jo pogyo jo bijan ku luaj. Dul jo dwal kweje la ngai chen ngur. Jana dwal pel chen le nok. Pogyo dwal le chen di du mi luaj. Yen wa polo di jirar. Yang kwe udu bayi chen. Yanda udu bayi muk. Yanda udu bayi chen. Wishing it will lay a can with ball. You run again like I do. And it should quote become all my veggie or your mayok. Ran with a budulo, your boom boom. Bane Nuäär system, age system link. Katong ne tembo to gan koryom date. Chakawa man.
The 10 sections are now complete. We have reached the proper end of the subject without needing another section. The next step is to assemble the complete work as one clean master manuscript. The description of the Nuäär age set system and class names. It will include 1. Title page. 2. 3. Dedication. 4. Preface. Table of contents. 6. Sections. 1 through 10. 7. Consolidated class name chronology. 8. Thoknath glossary. 9. Oral history interview guide. 10. General conclusion. During assembly, repeated explanations will be merged, uncertain regional names will remain clearly marked, and no new subject will be added. The 10 sections are now complete. We have reached the proper end of the subject without needing another section. The next step is to assemble the complete work as one clean master manuscript, the description of the Nuäär age set system and class names. It will include 1. Title page, 2. Author's name, 3. Dedication, 4. Preface, 5. Table of contents, 6. Sections 1 through 10, 7. Consolidated class name chronology, 8. Thoknath glossary, 9. Oral history interview guide. 10. General conclusion. During assembly, repeated explanations will be merged, uncertain regional names will remain clearly marked, and no new subject will be added. I will continue with section 2 as the permanent edited version. I will explain how class names organize seniority and generational identity, then present the chronological names carefully without turning uncertain dates or local variations into fixed rules. Section 2, Nuäär class names and the organization of the age sets. The meaning of an age set. The Nuäär age set system organizes men according to the period in which they were initiated into manhood. A group of boys marked during the same general initiation period becomes a recognized age set or class. The forehead marks identify the young men as initiated adults, but the class name gives them their collective identity. A man remains a member of the same age set throughout his life. He does not leave one class and enter another as he grows older. The members of an age set may come from different families, lineages, clans, villages, and territorial sections. What joins them is their common period of initiation. They regard one another as generational companions, even when they were not marked in precisely the same year or place. The system is therefore based not simply upon biological age, but upon recognized social seniority. Age set and age grade. An important distinction must be made between an age set and an age grade. An age set is the permanent named class into which a boy enters at initiation. An age grade describes his changing position in life. For example, boy, initiated youth, mature man, father, or elder. A man's age grade changes as he grows older, but his age set name never changes. If he entered the Liathgai class, for example, he remained Liathgai throughout his life, even after becoming an old man. How a class is formed. A new Nuäär age set was not necessarily established every year. Boys were initiated over a period that could extend for several years. The opening and closing of a class depended upon community decisions and the progress of initiation across different localities. The general process may be summarized as follows. 1. Boys reach the accepted stage for initiation. 2. Families and communities arranged for groups of boys to receive the forehead marks. 3. Initiation spread among neighboring villages and territorial sections. 4. The initiated boys were joined under a recognized class name. 5. After an appropriate period, that class was closed. 6. After initiates entered the next named class. For this reason, a class should not be treated as if it began everywhere on one exact calendar date. One locality might begin using a class name before another locality. Neighboring Nuäär communities could coordinate their classes, but differences in timing and terminology were possible. Class names are not repeated. In the traditional system, each principal age set received its own name. The names formed a progressive historical sequence and were not ordinarily reused in a repeating cycle. This makes the Nuäär system different from age set systems, in which a limited number of names return after several generations. When the members of an old Nuäär class died, their class continued in historical memory, but its name was not normally given to a new generation. The sequence of class names therefore helped the Nuäär remember the order of past generations. A person could identify an earlier event by saying that it occurred during the initiation period of a particular class. Published descriptions likewise explain that Nuäär age sets were progressive rather than cyclical, and that membership remained permanent after initiation. Evans-Pritchard's The Nuäär age sets. Please open your app to see this link. The period covered by a Class A class did not always cover the same number of years. Some initiation periods were longer than others. A difference of approximately 10 years between the beginnings of successive classes may serve as a rough guide, but it must not be applied as an unchanging rule. The dates preserved in oral accounts are therefore approximate. They indicate the general period during which a class emerged or became widely recognized. They should not be interpreted as exact birth years for all its members. A man could also be older or younger than another member of his class. What mattered was that both had been initiated within the period assigned to that class. Seniority between the classes. Age sets establish relationships of seniority, equality, and juniority. Men of the same age set are generational equals. Members of an earlier class are senior to members of a later class. Members of the later class owe respect to those initiated before them. Senior men are expected to guide and correct their juniors. Juniors are expected to listen, show restraint, and recognize the experience of their seniors. A man who was initiated earlier in the same class might possess a degree of personal seniority, but he remained a class companion of the others. The division between two named classes was socially more important than a small difference in biological age. Relationships expressed through kinship relations among age sets were often expressed through the language of family relationships. Members of a father's age set could be treated socially as fathers, while the younger classes might be regarded as sons. This did not replace actual biological kinship. Rather, it created a second structure of respect extending beyond one family or lineage. Through this system, an initiated man knew his position in relation to other men, whom he should respect as senior, whom he could approach as an equal, whom he could guide as a junior, and which generation stood in the position of fathers or sons to his own. The age set system thus connected people who might otherwise have had no close genealogical relationship. Local and wider class identity. The Nuäär are composed of many territorial communities. Initiation occurred locally, but class identity could extend across a much wider area. A local initiation group consisted of boys marked together in one village or district. The broader age set included men from numerous communities whose initiation was recognized as belonging to the same general period. A distinction must therefore be maintained between 1. The boys marked together at one ceremony, 2. The initiation group of a locality, 3. The named age set of a larger Nuäär community, and 4. A class name coordinated among several neighboring Nuäär peoples. Not every local name automatically became a universal Nuäär class name. Variations could arise because of distance, migration, interrupted ceremonies, warfare, or different decisions by local elders. The social importance of class companions. Members of an age set were expected to recognize a bond of companionship. In their youth, they danced, traveled, tended cattle, defended their communities, and participated in public activities together. Age set identity also encouraged mutual assistance. A class companion could expect hospitality, recognition, and support when visiting another locality where members of his class lived. The age set was not a government, clan, or military command. It did not possess a single ruler over all its members. Its authority rested upon shared identity, seniority, public opinion, and accepted rules of conduct. Class companions could act together within a locality, but the entire age set did not necessarily assemble for every community matter. The system provided social order without replacing families, lineages, clans, or territorial leadership. Class names as historical memory. Before written birth certificates and government records became common, a person's age was not usually expressed through an exact number of years. A man was more often identified through his physical maturity, family position, and age set membership. Someone might remember an event by saying, it occurred when a particular class was being marked. It happened before the next class opened. A certain class was still young at that time, or members of an older class were already respected elders. Age set names consequently served as units of social and historical time. They allowed generations to place marriages, migrations, floods, famines, conflicts, settlements, and the lives of important people into a remembered sequence. Researchers have cautioned that these sequences cannot always be converted into exact calendar years because initiation periods varied. Nevertheless, age sets remain valuable markers of Nuäär historical time. Preliminary chronology of remembered class names. The following chronology is based upon the names and approximate periods preserved in the author's research. It is a working historical sequence rather than a claim that every Nuäär section used identical dates or spellings. Approximate period, class or age set name, C. 1805, Uainak, C. 1815, Yilbith, C. 1825, Ngampini, C. 1830, Kuetkor, C. 1845, Lajak, C. 1850 to 1855, Thut, C. 1865, Boylak, C. 1877, Maker, C. 1895, C. 1903, Carboy, C. 1908, Karamluak, C. 1913 to 1915, Liathgai, also remembered as Gaijang, C. 1925, Kayat, C. 1929, Railmai, C. 1940, Rengjang Karam, C. 1941, Dengyan, C. 1945, Litjang, C. 1955, Thok, C. 1957, Jakgai, C. 1961 to 1963, Weijang, also called Tui Tui. Several entries are close together or carry more than one name. This may indicate local variation, overlapping initiation periods, alternative spellings, or names used by different territorial groups. They should not be combined or separated permanently until oral testimony establishes their relationship. In particular, the following require careful verification. Whether Karam and Luak were one class, related local names, or separate classes. Whether the later Rengjang Karam reused Karam or represents a different local usage. Whether Liathgai and Gaijang are equivalent names. Whether Weijang and Tui Tui identify the same class. And how Dengyan, Litjang, Thok, and Jakgai were ordered in each Nuäär territory. These questions should be resolved through interviews with elders from different Nuäär communities rather than through guesswork. The closing of the traditional system. As forehead marking declined, the traditional method of opening and closing age sets also weakened. later generations might possess a shared historical experience without passing through one coordinated initiation ceremony. This creates an important question. Can an unmarked generation receive a traditional class name? A newly proposed name may preserve generational memory, but it should not automatically be presented as an established Nuäär-wide age set. The manuscript must distinguish among a traditional initiated age set, a local generation name, a descriptive historical name, and a new commemorative name proposed by an organization. The proposed Thok Niem generation. The name Thok Niem generation has been proposed by the Lachor Dream Heritage Foundation at the Sobat Pibor District headquarters to describe a later generation whose members were generally not marked in the traditional manner. The name may carry important historical and commemorative meaning. However, it should initially be identified as a proposed or locally adopted generation name, not as an ancient class name recognized by all Nuäär communities. The events beginning in Juba on the 15th of December 2013 profoundly affected this generation. Nevertheless, those political events should be discussed in a separate historical section. They should not be used by themselves to redefine the traditional age set system. Likewise, the expression white army should not be treated as another name for the whole generation. It refers to a particular and contested political military context, whereas an age set traditionally includes men from many families, places, and circumstances. Confusing the two would incorrectly reduce a broad generation to one period of conflict. Conclusion. The Nuäär age set system created an enduring relationship among men initiated during the same historical period. It established seniority, companionship, respect, responsibility, and a means of remembering time. Forehead cutting marked the individual's passage into manhood. The class name placed him within the larger order of generations. Although the physical ceremony has greatly declined, the class names remain important records of Nuäär social history. They should be preserved carefully through oral testimony, comparison among territorial communities, and accurate recording of variant names and approximate dates.
Yeah, we're done with the English reading, and I'm going to close this. This will be cassette number 1 or video number 1. And it is good for those teenagers who were adapted to the English speaking. And then for the really Nuäär who know how to speak in Nuäär, learn the Nuäär from the birth time, birth period. So until now, what the English speaking tongue is spoke should not be well understood very well by them. As a result, I would have to be doing this myself. We will be mixed in English and Tognas, both. So it could be possible for those elderly people to know what we are talking about. Even though it is very important subject now, as you heard, it is the age set. What is the role of the age set in the Nuer culture? What do they do? And this is the chapter 1. But the book itself has got 10 chapters. We are now continue with the chapter 1, which is the introductory. At any time in the future, one should have to read by himself. That is how it works, and this is what I try to think. So I'm going to close it, and then I will open another one and take a conversation through it. As long as I'm at home by myself, I try to be making this as somebody is speaking to me, and that is it. Thank you. I'm Mr. Ball. Beggar did he?